Hey, this is Tiqqle, and in this video we're going over monks. We're going over Windwalker and Mistweaver. We're going to skip Brewmaster, but we may come back to that at a later time. For now, we're just going to focus on that Windwalker DPS fisting spec and the Mistweaver. And like with all of my videos about good old alpha, you'll see the link down below for all the other videos. You'll be seeing the Torgoth Tower. You're going to be seeing everyday streams minus Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely come by. Definitely let me know what you're wanting to see as we make our way through this alpha experience. So let's go into monks. We're going to go over the general monk skills, because now that the class specialization is now a thing. Then we're going to go into Windwalkers. After that, we're going to go to Mistweavers. So let's get going. So now we're going to go into the monk overall abilities. Now guys, remember we're at level 50. That's going to be the equivalent of 120. Max level will be 60. There's a stat squish. We're at 10k health, as I say in all my videos. Now we're going to look at the monk tree. Now the monk tree, there's a lot of abilities here. You're not too surprised to see Blackout Kick, Tiger Bomb. Where is it? Where's Rising Sun Kick? By the way, don't be deceived. You cannot use two-handers. You can only use two one-handers still. It is only Brewmaster that has the ability to switch between two-hander and two one-handers. Now, into the monk-specific abilities, you have Blackout Kick, you have Jade Crack Lightning, you have Roll, you have Resuscitate, you have Spinning Crane Kick. Spinning Crane Kick now hits a total of 6 enemies maximum. That is a big change. They're altering the amount of targets that can be hit by your different AoEs. That is what's happening with Windwalker and with all monks, really. Spinning Crane Kick will only hit 6 targets. Expel Harm, welcome to the show. Expel Harm is now an ability that used to be a PvP talent. That's now for every single monk spec. It's pretty awesome. Expel negative chi from your body, healing for about 500 and dealing 10% of the amount healed as nature damage to an enemy within 8 yards. Pretty cool. This was very useful. Passive way to get healing, passive way to do damage in BFA for PvP. It's actually cool to see that this is out. Leg Sweep got a 1 additional yard. It was 5 yards, now it's 6 yards. It is on all specs. Tiger Palm is still the same. Paralysis is the same. Now Touch of Death. Touch of Death is now across all the different monk specs, but the reality is it is now an execute. It is not a big DPS cooldown. In BFA, it was doing a lot of damage during a burst window on a 3-minute cooldown, but now it is just an execute when to kill a mob, basically, or kill a player when they're at low health. It still does a ton of damage, and we'll show you when we fight some mobs, but it is not a big DPS cooldown. It is an execute now, which is truly, in my opinion, a nerf in terms of the overall damage. And let me know down in the comments below what you think about this. But it is across all the different specs. That means Mistweavers have it. That means Windwalkers have it. That means Brewmasters have it. So that's that. You have Provoke. You have Transcendence, your port. You have Vivify, of course. You have Zen Flight. This is a slow-moving flying ability. They brought it back from back in the day, and it is what it is. Zen Pilgrimage to bring you to the temple of the monk place. Anyway, you still have good Karma as a talent. Mystic Touch is Windwalker still increase the damage taken by mobs by 5% or players by 5%. So that's actually going to be a useful raid mechanic or even PvE, PvP mechanic to keep that in mind. So that is monk across the board. Now there are a few changes when we switch over to Mistweaver, but we'll talk about those when we get there. Otherwise, all the different specs of monk will be in this boat. Nothing really too surprising. Nice to see Expel Harm. Questionable about Touch of Death, but it is cool for Mistweavers. And that's about it, the AoE differences. Now let's go ahead. We're going to switch into Windwalker, and then we'll go to a Mistweaver, and then we'll show you killing some mobs too. All right, there are only a few changes coming to the Windwalkers. Number 1, Fortifying Brew. This is actually baseline across all the specs. I don't know why it's still in the Windwalker tree, but it is. They actually added a new icon, which is pretty cool. But one of the big changes to Windwalkers, you get Zwen. This used to be a talent. Now it's just a baseline ability, 2-minute cooldown, summoning. Oh, I guess you have to have an enemy target. But it summons Zwen to attack and fight with you for 25 seconds. Zwen attacks your primary target and strikes 3 enemies within 10 yards every 1 second with lightning damage. So it's actually pretty cool, and I do appreciate them giving us this, because this was kind of a core monk ability that I thought was flavorful for the spec. I do appreciate that. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Now, the other change to Windwalker is Fist of Fury now only hits up to 6 targets, your primary, and then up to 5 additional targets around them, kind of weakening the AoE potential of a Windwalker, because as we mentioned, Spinning Crane Kick is also only 6 targets, so that is what it is. Otherwise, these abilities pretty much the same in terms of skills, same mastery as well. Now, if we go into the talents, there's only a few changes. Number 1, they've changed, because now Zwen, they added a new talent, Dance of the Chiji. Spending chi has a chance to make your next spinning crane kick free and deal an additional 200% damage, increasing the AoE potential and actually just the damage in general of a monk when using spinning crane kick. So that is pretty cool. And that's about it. The only other thing to call out is the Covenant ability. Covenant ability down here, Weapons of Order. For the next 30 seconds, your mastery is increased by 15%. Additionally, Rising Sun Kick cooldown is reset instantly, and your Rising Sun Kick reduces the cost of your chi abilities by 1 for 5 seconds. So this is kind of interesting. You'll be able to use Rising Sun Kick and then reset it quickly, maybe use it again. So you'll be able to weave this into your abilities. Kind of interesting. It's a 2-minute cooldown, a little low key. A lot of classes are getting casted abilities. A lot of classes are getting things that really are kind of animated. This one is, it's kind of cool, but it's pretty passive. I mean, the animation is pretty rad, but it's just not as, you're not getting devastating damage out of it per se. And that's about it for Windwalker. We'll go ahead and let's go kill some mobs really quick. It's basically the same playstyle that you have in BFA. Now, if I look here, my Touch of Death is procced. That is great. If I use it, it instantly killed the mob for 7k damage. That's a 3-minute cooldown. When the mob has less health than me, I'm able to proc it. If we go through it one more time, just in case you missed it, this is how it works. You exploit the enemy target's weakness point, instantly killing targets if they have less health than you. Deals damage equal to 35% of your max health against players and stronger creatures under 15% health. So it is a way to do some damage, but it isn't necessarily that ramp up big dot that's going to explode on someone like a Michael Bay film. But anyway, so, you know, Fist of Fury is still doing some pretty good damage. Damage numbers will probably get tuned, but overall, you know, it is similar to BFA, which is probably a good thing. BFA monks are killing it right now. Now, if we bring out Zuen, our boy Wonder, very cool ability. I'm glad it is back, and I'm glad it's not at a cost of you choosing something else. You know, so it is actually, monk is still pretty cool. Do I main a monk? No. Do I have fun with a monk? Yes. So yeah, so that's about it. I'll use my Covenant ability here in a second again. But the small changes that they did make is pretty flavorful, though the change to Touch of Death change, though, you know, I just don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. You guys are know more than me, potentially, but I'm just saying it's a little bit feels bad, potentially. But that's about it, guys. Let's go ahead. We're going to use this. Resetting my abilities. I mean, I'm just PvEing, but I didn't really do the burst setup that I could be doing. Expel Harm. The animation is pretty cool, but yeah, that's about it. So, guys, that's it for Windwalker. Let's go ahead and switch it up to the Mistweaver. All right, the change to the Mistweaver are basically the following. One is now you have all these baseline monk abilities, right? You have Expel Harm, you have Touch of Death, you have those damaging abilities. But now under Mistweaver, you also have a few... you have a new talent, or sorry, a new skill. It's Invoke Yu'lon. I'll go ahead and click it. We'll see him out. What he does is you'll see him kind of reset. He'll would be switching around to your friendly targets, healing them. What it says he does is summon an effigy of Yu'lon, the Jade Serpent, for 25 seconds. Yu'lon heals nearby enemies with Celestial Breath. Look, he jumped over to him. That's actually pretty cool to see that. I'm glad that we could see that. So that's pretty cool. So he's going to heal for a while. He's going to be bouncing around doing that passively, which is pretty nice. Now, that's about it. That's about all for the changes. There was some, like I said, mana adjustments, but otherwise everything is pretty much the same. Talent-wise, everything is pretty much the same again. Now, the only modification to that statement is this: Invoke Chiji, the Red Crane. Now, it's not Way of the Crane, but it's pretty darn close. Summons an effigy of Chiji, the Red Crane, for 25 seconds. Chiji causes you to become immune to all movement and parrying effects and increases your physical damage by 25%. Dealing physical damage causes Chiji to heal nearby enemies by nearby allies for 150% of all damage done. So this is like baby Way of the Crane, to be honest. And that is something I do appreciate. I think that playstyle does make Monk a little bit more exciting. It means that in PvP, you're able to risk the biscuit to go and do some damage. In PvE, it's in a way to actually make you be a little bit more interactive with meleeing and being involved. A little bit different than you have to. It's on a 2-minute cooldown. So fist weaving is a little bit different, right? When you're weaving your fist abilities having to do with Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, all this stuff, like that's fine. But the reality is like that isn't going to be as big as a cooldown based melee, and it doesn't mean that you have to melee as part of your core healing rotation either, which I do appreciate. Unlike kind of Holy Paladin, Holy Paladin you have to do melee to generate optimum amounts of holy power. Now the weapons of order, again, it says for the next 30 seconds, your mastery is increased by 15%. Additionally, Essence Font cooldown is reset instantly, and heals nearby enemies for an additional heal on the channel start and end. So again, it's a reset of one of your abilities. So I can do, let's just go ahead and use it right now. We need Essence Font. Oh, there it is. Okay. Essence Font, I use it, and then I use my Covenant ability. Oh, it's reset on global, and there we go again. You know, so that's pretty cool. And again, I look pretty freaking cool when I do it. So in terms of damage, I do have Expel Harm. I do have Rising Sun Kick. I do have Tiger Palm, etc. But I also have the Touch of Death. So Touch of Death, it still does the same amount of damage. That is something interesting you're going to have to think about, is that Touch of Death now does not scale off of your damage. It scales off of your maximum health, and it can be pressed on targets with less HP than you. Now again, it says deals damage equal to 35% of your maximum health against players and stronger creatures under 15% health. So that is actually pretty significant. That means it's an execute in PvP. In PvE, you can dump that off unless you're against a boss, then it is truly the execute. So you can be able to one-shot mobs for a while, every 3 minutes, but otherwise it'll be a little bit different in PvP and against bosses. Now let's go ahead and let's try invoke Tiqqle, the Red Crane. I'm going to go ahead and pop him. Big plays. We're going to go ahead and do some melee. We got 850 Rising Sun Kick. 850 Rising Sun Kick. You know, we're doing decent damage. Let's go ahead and use that. So yeah, it does look like I will actually be doing a decent amount of damage as a Mistweaver, which does make me happy. I think that when healers are able to put out full pressure, it is good. Now, the thing about monks, the thing about paladins, you're going to be in there deep. You're going to be in there deep. It's going to be risky. It's going to be risky business. So, you know, but that's about it. But that's about it, guys. That's the only changes. If I were to spec out of Tiqqle, basically what it means is I get probably summon Jade Serpent statue again. I can't switch to it right now, but it looks exactly the same. It functions exactly the same. Otherwise, healing is pretty much it. That's about all the changes for Mistweaver. You know it, you love it. I think it's going to get better than it is right now. I think it's going to be a little bit more interactive, maybe a little bit more expectation to be able to do that damage. And maybe that'll be important in the new metas to come in PvE and PvP, because I know some classes really got to shine in that sense, and then some classes really didn't. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on stream every day, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're doing a giveaway from today, which is the 24th, until the 30th, of a copy of Shadowlands every single day on stream, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and ending whenever. We also have a transmog competition coming up on Sunday, the 26th. We're going to start doing monthly transmog competitions and doing some giveaways along the same lines, and some prizes for those transmogs. So with that being said, we'll see you on stream. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.